SmackDown starts off with the Bloodline. Starts off with Solo. He cuts a promo. He basically just talks about the tribal combat match that he's going to have with Roman Reigns and how he's going to stand tall and still be your tribal chief. Then Drew McIntyre comes out. He comes out and he ends up mentioning Solo and ends up saying that does Solo ever wonder is Drew McIntyre ever going to come after him because he was the one that cost him at Clash at the Castle and he's the one that put his family through suffering and pain. But he also says that he's the only one that stood up to Roman while everyone else keeps on helping him and stood by his side, and that he is torn between attacking Solo or allowing Solo to continue to do what he's doing. And then he ends up saying that look, he will allow Solo to take care of Roman while he continues to take down the bloodline, and that when he's done taking care of Roman, they would finish their issues. But then this leads until Jimmy Uso making his return, attacking Drew McIntyre. They end up going backstage. Then you end up getting LA Knight, Andrade, and Apollo Crews comes out, attack the Bloodline, which transition into their match. Before I get to the six-man tag match, I was very interested in this because I said Solo should be one of the people that Drew McIntyre attacks because he hates Roman Reigns a lot, but the main person he really should be hating is Solo. That's the person he should hate though. Well, he could hate Roman as the Roman could be number one, but the second guy he should hate the most after Roman should be Solo. Like Solo should be the next guy on his list, but I do understand from his perspective, and I do think it's a good reasoning why he's not attacking Solo yet, because he is taking care of his Roman problem. Now, is it gonna be successful on January 6th? I highly doubt it, unless interference or something happens. But overall, I do like that they addressed that because I've been wondering for the longest time why he hasn't ever attacked Solo because he's been attacking Sammy, Drew, not Drew. He's been going after Jay, Sammy, and constantly talk about Roman forever, but he never mentioned Solo. So I'm glad that they finally addressed that. Then you got Knight, Andrade, Apollo Crews, of course. They end up attacking just to build up off the story of the Bloodline attacking them. Yeah, this happened. I think they attacked them shortly after their. I'm trying to think of the match that they. Oh, War Games. After War Games, the Bloodline attacked them three, so now they're trying to get their payback. Makes sense. The six-man tag match. I almost called it a triple threat. The six-man tag match happened. Towards the end of the match, Shinsuke Nakamura ends up attacking LA Knight. This allowed the Bloodline to pick the victory. Not gonna speak too much on it. I am confused on why Shinsuke attacked LA Knight. Like, I get they was feuding, but it doesn't make sense for Shinsuke to really attack LA Knight in this situation because you already won the US title. You already proved your point. I feel like they only did Shinsuke attacking LA Knight just to give Shinsuke and LA Knight something to do because I've been saying that I do not want this to continue because I was kind of concerned when the Bloodline attacked Andrade, Apollo Crews, and LA Knight that they was just going to be floundering in a nothing feud, and that's exactly what's happening because you're not going to have the Bloodline lose. They was going to win, obviously, because you got to build up Solo to face Roman. And even if Solo wasn't facing Roman, it wouldn't make sense for them to lose anyway. So I'm like, it would just been a nothing feud. So I'm assuming this is just to put LA Knight back in the US title picture, which I assumed they was going to do anyway. Logically, it doesn't make sense for Shinsuke to attack LA Knight because he already proved his point by beating LA Knight. I don't get what you gain from attacking him again. But I'm interested to see I'm not really that interested to see where it goes because I feel like I know where it's going to go. But nonetheless, we'll just have to see how that plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting KO. He ends up having a segment. It was a quick little vignette segment. He ends up saying that what happened at Saturday Night's main event, what he did to Cody Rhodes, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He said that he said he didn't deserve what happened to him at on Saturday Night's main event. He said he got screwed out the title picture and that it's not fair to what it's not fair what happened and that he should be the one that should be the WWE champion right now. And then he ends up saying that what he did to Cody Rhodes isn't the worst he can do. He said he hasn't fully snapped yet, and he ends up saying that whatever happens afterwards is all on up to management. This was a solid vignette segment. I love that he's carrying the wing eagle title. He's still carrying that title, and he's going to continue to carry that title until he gets what he deserves, which is what he said. So I'm interested to see where that story goes. It's not the same story, but it gives me similar vibes. Not the exact same, but it gives me similar vibes as the CM Punk when he returned and had the AEW championship with the X. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. I say it gives me similar vibes to that story. So I'm interested to see where this story goes. I'm interested to see how long. Well, Cody's probably going to return on Raw on Netflix. It only makes sense, even though he should be out for longer because Randy Orton has been out for a long time and he got hit with a power driver. So even though Cody realistically should be out for longer, I'm assuming he's going to make his return on Raw on Netflix because I'd be very shocked if he's not on the first episode on Netflix. I'll be very shocked, but we'll see how this story plays out. Afterwards, we end up getting Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Strowman. We end up getting a rematch. Carmelo Hayes actually picked up the victory. Now it was a very, it wasn't a, well, it was a clean victory, but it wasn't a convincing victory. He won via countout with Braun Strowman accidentally tossing, well, he didn't accidentally do it. He ends up tossing Carmelo Hayes over the ropes when it was on, when the referee was counting to 9. He tries to get back in the ring, but the ref counted 10 before he get inside. Now the way they ended up building towards the rematch of this match was so stupid. I'm not even gonna go over the Grayson Waller effect segment because that whole segment was stupid, but I'm just gonna criticize it for a bit. Instead of having Grayson Waller have this 5 minute segment with Braun Strowman and build up this entire thing, you know what you could have done? You could have just had Carmelo Hayes cut a short promo like he did in the Grayson Waller effect segment. Have him say the same things, call out Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman comes out, accepts it, and then have the same thing happen in the match. You could have had the same thing happen without the Grayson Waller effect. And look, I would be okay with this if this was like a thing of, well, we're just getting talent on TV. But A-Town Down Under haven't been important in a while. They haven't been on TV in a while, and they're clearly not doing the Austin Theory heel turn. I mean, babyface turn anytime soon. So you could have just left them off SmackDown. I don't understand why did we need that 5 minute segment just to have the Braun Strowman and Carmelo Hayes match when you could have just done this in less time and you could have just had Carmelo come out, call him out, and have the same thing. I hate when companies do this. I criticize AEW when they do unnecessary stuff. You gotta do the same with WWE. I hate when companies do unnecessary segments just to build toward another segment to like that was just unnecessary. We didn't need all that. Carmelo Hayes picked up the victory, and then after the match, he ends up attacking Braun Strowman as well. So this is going to be a continuing feud. I do have high hopes for this because I do think it can be entertaining. I just hope the right winner of the feud wins. But I do think it can be entertaining. I think they can build towards something. So hopefully they book this correctly and hopefully it's entertaining. Afterwards, we end up getting Johnny Gargano versus Alex Shelley. I'm not going to speak too much on this match. This match was basically to continue the heel turn of DIY. During the match, Tommaso Ciampa interfered, which allowed Johnny Gargano to take the advantage and end up picking up the victory. This is just to continue DIY being heels, get more heel heat, building up them as heels of being the new tag team champions. I'm not going to speak too much. I'm interested in the story. I am interested to see how long this story can play out because I do think this story can get better. Now, the history of DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, I feel like it won't really hit that much since most people don't know their history that much. Like, we know they've known each other for a long time, but we don't really know their history. So I do think this feud should get a bit more violent. And because if they're really going to tell the story of them being longtime friends, well, mainly Johnny Gargano being longtime friends and know each other a long time, I really think we need to really like have it be more heated, a little bit more heated. You know what I'm saying? Have them actually attack each other backstage. You know, have them have moments where they actually more intense, more intensity. I think we need more intensity, but I think it is slowly building up. So I do think this has potential in the tag team division because tag team division does need a tense feud and rivalry on both brands, if I'm being honest. So we'll see how this story plays out. Then we end up getting the main event: Bianca and Naomi versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Bianca and Naomi ends up picking the victory via Tiffany Stratton distracting Nia Jax, costing them their match because before the match started, there was a segment where Tiffany wanted to come out and help, but Nia and Candice told her to stay back due to her basically being incompetent. That's not what they said, but they basically insulting her, basically saying that she could take some notes and that's best for her to stay back, but she ends up coming out. Nia tries to get the briefcase, but Tiffany ended up being incompetent, giving her the briefcase too late. The ref sees it, which allows Naomi and Bianca to pick up the victory. Now a lot of people are getting annoyed with Tiffany Stratton and her in the briefcase. I get it because I do agree to a degree that Triple H does the cash in stuff too much. Now they didn't tease a cash in, but he does do too many teases of a cash in. I do agree with that. But this is clearly building up to the bigger story. The story is easily obvious. Nia Jax is clearly replacing Tiffany Stratton with Candice LeRae, which is going to eventually allow to make Tiffany Stratton become a babyface, with her constantly being mistreated and her being pushed out the group, allowing her to eventually cash in, getting her comeuppance on her standing tall over Nia Jax. Now, I'm interested in the story. Now, I wish they would have pushed this story a lot sooner, because I feel like they waited a bit too long on the story, because I'm interested in the story, but I'm kind of at the point where I kind of just want her to cash in, if I'm being honest, because I don't know how much longer you could really drag this story. Overall, this SmackDown was incredibly mid. It was incredibly mid. I'm not gonna say it's it's not bad, only because it's not unwatchable. It wasn't unwatchable, but it was incredibly boring. I will admit. I have to give the same criticism I give AEW. This episode was clearly pre-taped. They end up taping back-to-back shows. Makes sense to give wrestlers time for their family because it's close to Christmas. Makes sense, and then they end up moving forward into Raw on Netflix, and that's when they're really going to start seriously booking. But this overall show is incredibly mid. Next week's show, I'm assuming, is going to be mid as well, so I don't have high hopes for that. Let's just hope Raw on Netflix, and then when SmackDown goes to 3 hours, they really start putting effort into their shows, which they should, which I'm eventually assuming, because the Royal Rumble is going to come up, so I'm the road to WrestleMania, all of that. So that's when WWE is really going to book. That's not an excuse, because that's not an excuse at all. They should not be doing that, but those are the reasons why, this week and most likely next week's show is not going to be that good. But overall, like I said, the show was mid, but you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.